That result stings, guys, doesn't it? Sure, losing at home to Nottingham Forest wasn't what we were all expecting after the brilliant start to the season that we had. But does that mean that everyone should start to panic? Absolutely not. As much as we have dreaded recording this analysis due to the underwhelming result and performance, we did also manage to find some positives out of the game. And that's exactly what we're going to try and explain in today's video. What Liverpool did right and wrong against Forest that resulted in an unexpected loss at Anfield. So hit that like and subscribe button and let's jump straight into it. So, as we said in our game preview, that Liverpool are the most predictable side when it comes to lineup so far this season, and this proved to be right, with Arne Slot entering his third consecutive game with the same starting 11. Alisson, Van Dijk, Konate, Robertson and Trent formed the defence, with Gravenberch and McAllister as the double pivots. Dominic Szoboszlai operated higher up the pitch, and behind the offensive trio of Diogo Jota, Luis Diaz and Mohamed Salah. Nothing unusual really. Now it's safe to say that the Reds' build-up shape has been as fluid as ever. We used the back three with the usual double pivot with all of Gravenberch, Trent, McAllister and Szoboszlai interchanging positions in central areas. We saw the 3-1-6 with Grav or Trent as the sole pivot, and we even saw the classic 4-2-4 with both fullbacks high and wide. These constant rotations were what allowed Liverpool from slowly progressing the ball in the first half, as Nottingham Forest's block was dragged from side to side, creating spaces for our players to receive the ball. Another key point that needs to be highlighted from this first half is how the Reds have managed to sustain pressure in the opposition's half. If you watched our game preview, you know how we mentioned the need to limit Nottingham Forest any transition situations by squeezing the pitch as much as possible through a high defensive line. This is what Liverpool have done, as we managed to regain possession quickly enough, whether it was through counter-pressing or through our centre-back stepping high into the opposition's half. Here we should mention Ibrahima Konate's brilliant performance in the first half, acting as the first man to make the jump to the halfway line, winning 4 out of his 4 aerial duels, which was the key reason why we didn't allow Forrest any breaks. But as we all know, we finished the first period with a goalless draw, so if our build-up phase was this good, why didn't we manage to unlock any scoring earlier? Well, the Reds had 6 shots on target, with only 1 being created in the first half. And no, Luis Diaz's brilliant solo effort, where he fought for the ball to regain it high and pop a shot at the post, is not among these chances, since it isn't considered on target. In reality, our best chance came from that Alexis McAllister header, who the goalkeeper saved with a brilliant jump. So why didn't the Reds create much from settled play? Well, as patient as our build-up was, our actions in the final third were extremely rushed. That sequence when Szoboszlai broke through and decided to rush his pass is a prime example. Speaking of Szoboszlai, as much as we appreciate his impact without the ball, his creativity in the final third was more than questionable during that match. Which brings us to a player the Reds missed, Harvey Elliott, who sustained an injury that will sideline him for a lengthy period of time. See, Elliott has the ability to slip into those pockets of space to put in a cross or slip a teammate through. A huge trait to have against a team who sits in a low block and refuse to engage in the pressing. Just like what Nottingham Forest did, and this, guys, brings us to another question in mind. Ipswich, Brentford and Manchester United have all went with a high press against us, which played directly into our hands, as our ability to bait the press and create spaces in behind was more than enough to obliterate these sides. But now with teams like Forest sitting deep, we need to be more creative higher up the pitch, something that Arne Slot will need to address soon and without a special player like Elliott available. You can see here that the Reds have misplaced 22 of their 91 passes in the attacking third. And if you take a closer look, you'll see that the majority of these wrong passes were long and directed to the penalty box, which highlights how rushed the Liverpool players were trying to get the ball into the opposition's penalty area. Unfortunately, these issues of rushing passes into the final third with players lacking that creative edge continued into the second period of the game. However, it was even worse due to the fact that the Reds have lost control of that sustained pressure and control that they had in the first 45 minutes. In fact, we even struggled to create any significant chances in the second period. So those Jota opportunities and Szoboszlai's header look more precious looking back at them right now. This resulted in Forrest getting more into the game, and to better explain how, all you have to do is look at their expected goals. In the first period, Santos' men had a 0xg. That's right, they didn't have a single opportunity to score. However, in the second half, everything changed. Their final third entries increased from 22 in the first half to 34 in the second, which was all due to the changes that Santos brought in, and that was Anthony Elanga and Callum Hudson-Odoi. And guess what? If you watched our game preview, you'd know that we highlighted how threatening these three players are when they are all on the pitch together, and actually, we had a sign of relief when we found out that they were not starting alongside Morgan Gibbs-White. However, once this trio combined on the field, they managed to not only threaten us, but also score the winning goal that ended a 50-year winless streak for Nottingham Forest at Anfield. Now putting everything we talked about together, and you'll see how we conceded that costly goal. Trent Alexander-Arnold, who was pushed higher up the pitch to make up for the lack of creativity, tried to force the ball into a congested area, with Darwin Núñez being on the end of his pass. Unfortunately, the Uruguayan lost his duel, which resulted in a transition situation for the opposition, something that we kept expressing our worries about in the preview video. Here you can see the deadly trio of Elanga, Gibbs-White and Hudson-Odoi running at our back line. While Morgan occupied Konate in the centre, Elanga made a smart switch to the left-hand side, where Hudson-Odoi was isolated in a 1v1 versus Bradley. Despite three of the Reds players trying to close down on the former Chelsea player, he managed to pop a shot from outside the area, putting an end to our clean sheet and undefeated run so far this season. The reaction after the goal, to say the least, kind of underwhelming, with the Reds once again unable to unlock Forrest's deep block and failing to create any significant chances. Now, should we all enter a panic and start to question the process? Absolutely not. With a brilliant start of the season Arne Slot has had, people forget that we're going into a transitional period after the departure of Jurgen Klopp, and these shocking results will have to happen in order for the new regime to fix things up and make the needed adjustments to the system. Not only that, such performances will highlight specific needs in the squad that Arne and the management team will undoubtedly address in the coming transfer windows. For example, it doesn't make any sense to have a single midfielder who can be key against deep blocks in Harvey Elliott, and so squad depth should be addressed in order to avoid similar situations in the future. Does this loss hurt? Of course. There's nothing worse than a first defeat of the season on our home ground against a lesser side in Nottingham Forest. But this is no reason to panic. The season is still long, and such result will bring feet back to earth so players and staff can all work together harder to avoid repeating the same mistakes and improve what is lacking. Our job here as a fan base is to stand behind the club and keep pushing all together in order to have the best possible campaign we can have in such a sensitive transitional period. So what do you think about the performance? Do you think the Reds haven't been as clinical as they were in the first three games, with those chances missed in the first period? Do you think Slot will continue to struggle against teams who refuse to engage high up the pitch? Or is this a one-off game and things will be back on track as soon as possible? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and heck, if you enjoyed our analysis, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more Liverpool content. Thank you, and I'll see you all next time. Take care. Peace.